So here we are at chapter 3, which is digestion. It's one of my favorite chapters. I'm going to try and speak slowly and succinctly. But each time that I talk about this chapter, I'm amazed when I read this piece right here. Our GI tract from our mouth to our anus is 30 feet long. So consider that 30 feet. That would be like 5-6 feet tall people standing on top of one another. And that is how long our GI tract is from our mouth to our anus. It's perfectly placed and bent and turned to fit inside our bodies. So we have digestion, which is breaking food into smaller components, converting components into nutrients, and then eliminated solid waste. Let's talk about this first piece right here, breaking food into smaller components. Our body does that by mechanical digestion, which would be our mouth. Um, our body does it through chemical, or our mouth like chewing with our teeth, and our body does it through chemical digestion, which would be enzymes, breaking food down into smaller particles. There's several organs involved in the digestive process, and these are important for you to remember and know. So when I'm talking about the flow of digestion, I want you to think of our digestive system in this order. We have the mouth, the esophagus, and then we have a sphincter called the lower esophageal sphincter. Sometimes it's called the cardiac sphincter just because of where it's located geographically in our GI tract. It's right near our heart. Then we have the stomach. And at the base of the stomach, we have a sphincter called the pyloric sphincter, which controls the movement of food in and out of the stomach, hopefully not in. And then we have the small intestine, which is made up of 3 sections, the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. And from there, we go into the large intestine, which you'll see on the next slide has different areas. I never test on the different areas of the large intestine. And then we have the rectum and the anus. Contributing to these major organs or major portions of the GI tract, we also have the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. And we also have a muscular flap called the epiglottis that is very important that we will discuss later. But remember that term, the epiglottis. You will see that on a test. So when you're looking at the next slide, again, it's very important. We're looking at the mouth. Here's the esophagus. And then here at the base of the esophagus is that lower esophageal sphincter. If any of you have suffered with heartburn, that lower esophageal sphincter is probably the reason why. So what happens when we eat certain foods, or we have just a genetic predisposition to heartburn, or maybe we're pregnant, the pressure causes that lower esophageal sphincter to relax, and then we get the very acidic contents of the stomach coming up through the esophagus, causing that feeling of heartburn. Now, it really has nothing to do with our heart, it's just where it's located. Okay, so it's that lower esophageal sphincter. Then we move into the stomach, and like I said, we have the pyloric sphincter at the base of the stomach. And then we move into the small intestine with the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. And then we move into the colon, or the large intestine. And we have the rectum until we are neurologically signaled to remove fecal matter through the anus. So we talked about the mechanical breakdown and chemical breakdown of food. Mastication is another word for chewing. We have 32 permanent teeth to grind and break down food, but we also have some mechanical breakdown happening in the process of peristalsis. And what peristalsis is are these wave-like muscular movements throughout the esophagus and throughout the small and large intestine that basically just helps propel food from one end of the GI tract to the other end of the GI tract. As far as chemical breakdown goes, we have digestive enzymes that help starch transfer into a simple sugar.